have someone else waiting backstage. It's 10:40 in Florida. And this next one, I've talked to this guy a few times. Never had him on the channel. And there he is. There's Dale Lively, who used to be the mechanic for Don Lewis. Happy New Year, Dale. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Well, I'm busy trying to get everything scheduled, as you and I talked a few times today about this evening, and I had to change the timing a few times because there's more people that are like, "Yeah, I'll come on." So anyway, they're saying hi to you in the chat. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. And well, before we do that, are you still a mechanic?
Oh yeah, still running the same Lively's Automotive,
Lively's Automotive in what city?
Brandon, Florida.
Brandon, Florida. So if you need some work done on a vehicle, you need to go to Lively's Automotive.
Correct.
And you don't have to ask for Dale, um, but I guess you probably could. But anyway, I've been over there. You've got, is it two? Is there two bays inside? Or is
Three
it?
inside and one outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went over there. You guys were working hard the day that I came over. All right. I didn't bring you on here to talk about cars,
Okay.
although I'd like to because I got some work that needs to be done on mine. But you were Don's mechanic and you knew him quite well.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
I've
How
worked
many?
with Don since probably 86 or 87.
Okay. So you knew him for around 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Is that your clock?
Yes.
Is it? Because
10:30.
it's okay. 10. I think your clock's slow. I think it's 10:40, but that's okay. All right. So you knew him for about 10 years. Uh, do you remember his van? He had a van.
Oh
Do,
yeah,
do
he
you
the Dodge van.
you remember what color it was?
Uh, Blue and silver or blue and white.
Okay.
Two tone, kind of a custom type van.
So it was blue. It
Yeah.
had blue in it.
Correct.
Do you know when was the last time you worked on that van? You did work on it.
Oh yeah, I worked. The last time I worked on it was the week that before he disappeared. I had it at my shop for about 3 days, and
All
and
right.
did
So
work on it.
all right. So he was reported missing on Tuesday the 19th.
Correct. Yeah,
The week before, Friday was the 15th. So was it that week of the
it
15th?
was the week of the 15th.
Okay.
He picked it up from my shop, I think, on the 13th.
Okay.
Just
So Wednesday.
correct. Yeah,
Okay. Do you remember when he brought it into you?
I believe he brought it in either the Friday before or the Monday,
Okay.
um, and brought it.
And what was wrong with it? What'd
It
you work on it?
it had an air conditioner problem in the center of the dash where the controls are. So I had the dash apart and had to replace some of the parts inside there to fix it
All right.
for him.
Did you take the dash out?
I took the center part of the dash out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on like I used to have an old Ford van and it had like the engine cover in the center, but you're not talking, are you talking about that or are you talking about the actual dash?
Actual dash where the AC controls are. The pad.
Okay. So where your knobs and all that stuff would
Right.
be.
Yeah.
Okay, so you took that out. Were you there when Don came by to pick up the van?
Oh yeah. I waited
Yep.
on. He came in and he was carrying a little cub. I don't know if it was a leg. I'm not real good at identifying cats, but he had a baby cat with him. And
Okay.
we stood there and we talked for 15 or 20 minutes and spent quite a bit of time talking before he left after he picked it up.
That was Wednesday the 13th.
Right.
All right. So let me, Tuesday. All right. Because some people get confused because he was reported missing on Tuesday, but he went missing Friday, is what I think. That's
Right.
like my opinion. So 2 days before he's last seen by Anne the Queen.
Right.
That's I'll just leave that. So Wednesday, what when you guys talked when he came to pick it up, you guys talked for 15, 20 minutes. What did you guys talk about?
Well, we were looking at the cat, and we were having some conversations about he was going to Costa Rica the next week or the weekend, and he started sharing some stuff that he was going to be going down there, and I had fixed up, I don't know, 6 or 7 vehicles for him that he had shipped down there, and but in talking, he got on the subject that he was moving his cats down there, and that there was some problems at home, and he was scared to death of Carole, and he made a statement. I've got to get away from her. He said, "She's crazy. I'm afraid she's going to kill me." And of course, I didn't really think a whole lot of it at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
in hindsight, you know, it makes a lot of sense. But he tried to talk me into going to Costa Rica with him. He invited me to go, but at the time I was married, and it was the wife's birthday that weekend, so that wouldn't have been real good at that time.
What had you ever gone to Costa Rica with Don before?
I never had. No.
No, no.
No.
Do you remember when you got in that van? Do you remember if the seat was pushed all the way back or if it was forward, or do you remember anything about the seat position?
No, usually, I mean, I'm pretty long legged, and when I get in a vehicle, I usually put the seat back.
Mm-hmm.
It's a habit of mine.
Yeah.
But I don't remember where it was at when I got in it, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Um, so let's go back to the conversation that you had with him. So he told you he was scared.
Oh,
Um,
he talked about that he had tried to get a restraining order, and that he just had to get away from her.
yeah, because it would have been in June. Matter of fact, almost exactly 2 months
Right.
before, because it was June 12th, I think, or June 11th. I don't know why I can't remember the exact date. I think it's June 12th. But it would have been almost exactly 2 months previously when he filed that restraining order. So when you got in that van, did you drive it? Did you have to move it to a different place,
Oh,
or
several times. Correct.
you
Yeah.
did? Did you wear gloves do you wear gloves when you're moving them?
Nope. I never wore gloves.
Do you know why I'm asking, right?
I know exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, because the story goes that when that van was picked up from the airport and taken back out to wildlife on Easy Street, it didn't have any fingerprints in it. But you were driving it days before. I
Well,
mean,
yeah. I was all over that van. Um,
did,
I
did
was
they
I was
did
my prints were on the center part of the dash that they were found.
because they did find someone's fingerprints.
Yeah,
One, and that was you,
that was me.
and it was from working on the air conditioner.
That's where I had the whole center part of the dash out. Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how come your fingerprints weren't on the steering wheel or the door handle. Did you wipe them down? Maybe.
Nope, not me. I was curious about that too. And why didn't they find Dawn's fingerprints in the van? Or why weren't Carol's prints in the van when she drove it back to her house?
Yeah, or if she did, someone drove it back.
Drove it back. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And from what I understand, it was her or her dad,
Yeah.
but neither one of their fingerprints were in there, which is really odd.
Well,
Um, it's odd. And I know it was a long time ago, but do you recall if there was a license plate on that van when you worked on it?
most of the stuff that Don brought me, he had like a transporter tag, a dealer tag.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he had that. I almost promise you he had that on the back of it
Yeah.
because he used it on the vehicles that he drove.
Yeah, because it wasn't on there when the van was recovered. There wasn't
Yeah.
a license plate on it. There's some people asking some pretty good questions. Fingerprints on the keys. You would have probably used the keys also.
Absolutely. Yeah. I used the keys. I was in and out of both doors.
Yeah, because when you're working on a dash, did you pull stuff? You had stuff sitting out in the middle. So,
Oh, yeah. I had to
yeah, you're going
everything apart. Correct.
right.
Yeah.
All right. So when did you find out Don was missing?
I found out Ann called me, and as near as I can remember, it was on the following Tuesday,
Okay.
I believe. She called me, and I could tell she was upset, but she said that Don was missing.
So that would have been the day he was reported missing on that Tuesday.
Yeah.
Um, did Carole ever call you to ask you if you'd seen Don?
I never heard a word from Carole.
Even till this day?
To this day, I've not seen or heard a word from her.
So you were his auto mechanic for 10 years,
Yes.
and this man is missing, and you never got a call from his loving wife that, hey, have you seen my husband?
Crickets, not a word.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I wish I could say that's surprising, but you're not the only one that didn't get any phone calls. Because, I had the daughters on here months ago, and they were never called either. Never a call like, hey, have you heard from your dad? Like nothing.
That's
So, yeah, it is sad. So, what do you think when he told you he was scared? Was he being serious? Like now that you look back, I mean, he wasn't joking around like, oh, she's gonna kill me. People joke around about stuff.
well, Don always had a smile on his face. Anytime Don talked to you, uh, I never saw him really angry and mad and agitated or anything like that. He was always real mild spoken. And I thought he was serious. I mean, I from the way he was saying it, I knew there was some problems,
Right.
but I
But
didn't. I had no idea they were that extreme.
yeah, I don't think anyone would because just a few days later, he's gone. I
He's gone.
mean,
Yeah,
eh,
exactly.
yeah, actually, I have Dawn is in the chat, and she's confirming that Don always used dealer plates on his vehicles. Um, what'd she say? The van wouldn't have been driven to the mechanic shop without a license plate. Um, yeah. How about when you talk to him? Could you see signs of dementia?
Never.
I mean,
No.
Carole said he was getting lost in dumpsters. He was losing his mind. He got an MRI too, or I can't remember that little story, but um,
Carole says a lot of things.
she definitely does. But you never saw
Never.
his brain slipping and nothing.
Never the slightest bit.
Okay, I got a question. I got a question for you because I have not seen the video yet, but someone told me just the other day that Carole made a video or a statement or something saying that she was planning on going to Costa Rica with Don, that they were going there together. When he why are you laughing? When he talked to you and he told you he was going to Costa Rica, did he say anything else about it?
He never mentioned taking Carole. His idea was to get away from Carole, not to take her along. No.
Right.
I,
Well, I haven't seen the
Carole said
video yet.
that you really take with a grain of salt.
Uh-huh. I'm trying to look at some of these questions. Oh, someone's asking if you remember the Don's cell phone number, but we have that number, so I don't know who's asking. No, Nosy's asking. We have that cell phone number, so I don't. I, there's quite a few people asking for it, but anyway, do you have his cell phone number?
I probably do if I went back through some records.
Uh huh.
So,
Okay. I have one of his business cards that had his phone numbers on it, but his cell phone number was on there. But we'll. People are asking if you have records back that far. You probably do because
I have
you
his
probably
record. Yeah.
his records.
Yeah.
Did he sign anything? Do you have records that he signed? Do you know, like if he picked something up or?
Don and I had to he would pick up a vehicle for me, and then I would just call Ann and tell her what the bill was, and she'd mail me a check.
Okay, so
I
you don't have any of his.
relationship.
Okay. Well, maybe you can see if you have any of his handwriting, because I have his will from like 1986 that has his handwriting,
Yeah.
and it's a good piece of evidence to compare
Exactly.
with other stuff. But you might look to see if you have um, anything. And then, do you remember the station wagon that he had? It's the one that I believe it overheated when someone went to Albertsons, maybe. But
Uh,
when you worked on those vehicles, did you take VIN numbers down?
Usually I did, but I don't remember ever seeing a station wagon.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to talk to you later about that to see if you have records that might have some VIN numbers.
Okay.
And then you probably, God, they got a lot of good questions. I guess, do you remember how much gas was in the van?
No.
It'd be interesting to know, but anyway. All right, so you talked to him a few days before he was last seen by Ann, and then the following Tuesday, Ann calls you and tells you that he was missing.
Missing.
And then what do you remember after that? Do you remember, did law enforcement ever come to you and ask you any questions?
They came to my shop probably 3 weeks after he went missing and spent about 5-10 minutes there at my shop. And I showed him at the time I showed him a copy of the repair order where I had the van, and told him, explained to him why my print was in the van.
Oh, that's why they came by,
Yeah.
because your fingerprints were in there.
And my prints are on file because I have a concealed weapons permit, not because I have a record or anything. Let's clear that up right now.
Hey, it's okay if there's lots of people that have records.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
I mean, I have a record, but it is what it is, So, yeah, I wasn't going to ask if you did, but I wouldn't judge you if you did anyway. But so they came, they asked you about that, and then did they? I'm not talking about recently, but back then, did they ever follow up later?
No,
Never. So just that one time.
That one time.
All right. I think that's all the questions. There's some questions in here that I already know the answers to. Um, yeah, Rodeo Twister. We've tracked that van, and actually, at a later date, one of the daughters actually talked to the owner that had it, and they went and inspected that van. Just FYI. But anyway, Dale, is there anything else that you can think of that might be important?
Not right at this moment, not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, what we do know is that you saw Don a few days before he was last seen by Ann McQueen, and he told you that he was scared. He was leaving Carole.
That was what he told me, that he was leaving Carole and he had bought a bunch of property in Costa Rica and he was going to be moving his cats down there.
And did he say he was taking Carole
No,
with him?
no, no. The only impression he gave that he was running from her, not to her.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're probably not surprised, but that's not the first time I've heard a story like that where he was trying to get away, not
he was
to her. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on here. With all these questions, we could go for another 30 minutes, but the person that's coming on next, it's 11 o'clock out there. So if you haven't fallen asleep yet, go ahead and click that link so we can get you on here. I'm going to keep you on here for a couple of minutes more.
Okay.
And hopefully, I'm getting kind of thirsty. I think I'm going to order me a cold beverage. I have this app on my phone, or I order one cold frosty beer, and we'll see if it works. All right, people are saying thanks for coming on here. I'm going to see if this next guest will come on real quick. And hey, someone's asking if you knew Kenny Farr. Did you know Kenny Farr?
I met Kenny Farr years ago. He used to every now and then would bring cars. I used to own a Chevron station on 78th and Palm River Road. And sometimes Kenny would shuttle cars back and forth for Don.
All right. So you knew him
just casual.
I gotcha. All right. All right. I'm going to bring the next guest on before you leave.
Okay. That'll be fine.
All right, everybody. We got the next person here, which is one of the daughters of Don Lewis. It's Linda. And Dale, you know Linda. You were telling me earlier today that once she gets on the channel, I probably won't be able to talk because she talks so much.
Ha ha ha.
He didn't say that.
Hello, Linda.
Hi there. It's great seeing you.
Good to see you.
Huh?
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, Dale, thank you for coming on here.
All righty.
Have a happy new year.
All right.
And I appreciate you telling the story because it's really important that people who have information come forward. I mean, this is a guy that went missing, and just a few days before he went missing, he told you he was scared of his wife. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty big. That's big. But thank you very much for coming on here.
I appreciate all you do.
Well, you're welcome.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later, Dale. Linda.